Rogar Stonecrusher. He's a great character you get early on. You can see Armored, Dwarf, and Warrior. He stays really useful for a long time, and actually if you keep getting hero tokens and leveling him up, I think for really a large part of the game, he can be one of the top characters for you. You can see I haven't really been keeping up with him. I got a lot of other kind of interesting characters right away, but he does have a lot of viability, and I see him regularly in PvP mode, even at the level I'm right around level 40 now, and I see him quite a bit. So there's lots of levels you can get him in early on to increase that star level and up those stats. Let's take a look at the stats. So we've got Perfect Swing, which is really helpful. It never misses. It comes in handy in a lot of circumstances. And this Armored is really a nice trait to have. There's generally very few characters that get a bonus against Armored, and everybody else is doing less damage. There's a lot of skills only. All the skills have cooldowns, and a lot of times when you're either in campaign or PvP, many of the attacks are just physical attacks, and so having that Armored really reduces the amount of damage. And with that, he has a fair amount of health and defense as well, so it makes him pretty tough, and that's one of the benefits having him in PvP, is that he'll last, if you're on the attacking side, most times he'll last through that first round, and then he can use his multi-person skill. Let's go over there and take a look at that. So his very first skill that you get is Whirlwind. Everybody's got him, so you should be familiar with this skill. Part of the tutorial. But again, it's the very first multi-enemy spell that you get. It's moderate damage, but again, because he's so tough, that's the nice counter for that. It's acceptable to have a little less damage if you know he's actually going to be able to stick around and do it in PvP mode. And then Skullcracker, which was an incredible disappointment when I got this. I guess the good thing is that because he has that Perfect Swing trait, he's never going to miss, so that helps out and makes all of his damage all the more helpful, in that he's not going to miss, he's going to connect on it. But Skullcracker's got such low damage that it's always surprising when you're using it. I'm just surprised it just doesn't do very much damage at all. So that one's too bad. But look at his next ascension, and he gets another melee attack, but this time he gets to buff the whole team's attack by 35%. And all of these buffs I've found recently require some testing. It's not as straightforward as you would expect. It's oftentimes not the percentage. When you use the buff skill, it's not actually doing that percentage increase to your attack. It may be more or less, but so far my experience has been it's not the number that they're advertising. So another good reason to come back and check these videos. I'm trying to post information on what the actual effects are for some of these. Also, oftentimes for other characters as well, it's not clear when they're listing it. It appears to be a single person attack, but sometimes turns out to actually be a multi-person, so good things to check back on. You can see we do have the materials to ascend him right now. I'm going to hold off just because I don't use him very much, but summary would be, early on, I'd say even the first 30 levels, and if you keep up with him beyond there, really an effective character to use in PvP mode, in dungeon raiding, on offense and defense. Even beyond, if you keep him up, ascend him, he's not too difficult to ascend, and increase his star level. He can be powerful even beyond there and be a great asset for your team. And similarly, if you're keeping him up to level, he can do very well on campaigning with the right team. So he's got that survivability, a decent amount of multi-target damage, and a good asset to the team.